Hello, everybody. Today we are going to start with a new lesson in the same theme, which is facing challenges and overcoming obstacles. This is Unit 4. This is the second lesson. The title of our lesson is She Had to Walk Before She Could Run. Let's see what is our lesson about and who was the person who had to walk before she could run. Okay, first of all, let's start with the vocabulary words. As we got used to, we look at the picture, we read the sentence, and throughout the pictures and the sentences that are given, we figure out the meanings of the vocabulary words. Let's start with the first word, which is assess. Let's read the sentence. As you can see in the picture first, we can see a teacher, and as if this teacher is carrying exam papers or trying to examine some students. Let's read the sentence. Tests help teachers assess how well students are learning. So, as if it means that it helps teacher determine the level of students or determine if the students are high achievers or low achievers and so on. How do sports fans assess how well an athlete is performing? So, also from the question, we can tell that sports fan can assess or examine or determine how well this athlete is performing. Compensate is the second vocabulary word. On hot days, a fan can help compensate for the lack of a breeze. So, as if the fan can replace something, okay, it can replace for the lack of a breeze. So, to compensate is to replace something. The third vocabulary word is deteriorated. If you look at the wall here in the picture, it seems that it is damaged or deteriorated, or it's not new at the same as it was when they painted it. So let's read the sentence. The paint had deteriorated after years of exposure to weather. So as if it is getting worse, or it's not as it is. Let's move to the second vocabulary word, the one after devastating. If we look at the pictures here, we can see that there is a fire, and this fire is destroying the trees in a forest. The devastating fire destroyed many trees. So when something is devastating, it means it's leading to disastrous effects, to devastating effects, to very harmful effects. Implement. My school plans to implement a program that promotes eating healthy foods. So I'm trying to implement, or I'm trying to create, to start something. Peripheral, the wide brim of her hat blocked some of her peripheral vision. So her peripheral vision means the vision in which she can see, or her clear vision. Potential, the dark clouds indicate the potential for a rainstorm. It means they indicate that there is going to be a very strong rainstorm, or the signs of a rainstorm. Summit, the climbers finally reached the summit of the mountain. If you can see here, as if they are on the top of the mountain. So the summit of the mountain means the top of the mountain. So the vocabulary words in this lesson are devastating, assess, peripheral, potential, summit, deteriorated, implement, compensate. Let's read the meanings of the words in the word bank here. So assess is to estimate people's ability or object's value. Compensate is to make up or replace. Deteriorated, became worse in condition. Devastating, destructive. Implement, a plan to put into effect or make it happen, to start something, to begin something, to plan for something. Peripheral, its division refers to the outer edges. Potential means the possibility or the sign of something happening. Summit is the highest point of a hill or mountain. Now we are going to start with a new comprehension skill, which is the sequence of events or the chronological order or the time order. In this comprehension skill, we are going to learn what do we mean by sequence of events and when is this sequence used. First of all, when a writer writes a certain story, he usually follows the time order or the sequence of events, because the writer usually writes the events in order from the beginning to the middle to the end. So sequence of events means when we write steps in a process in order, or when we write the events of a story in order. And most of the times you might find this kind of order, this chronological order in biographies, because they follow a certain time order. There are many transitions used in the sequence of events, like first, next, then, presently, now, moreover, until, and so on. And especially dates are also used in determining the time. Like for example, in 1991, in 1982, these are dates and especially years used in sequence of events. Here there is an exercise concerning the sequence of events. As you can see, we are going to read the paragraph together and see the question asked. Making orange juice concentrate from fresh oranges is done entirely by machines. First, oranges are dumped into a moving belt. They travel into a machine which washes them with detergent. Next, they are rolled into juicing machines where 700 oranges per minute are split and squeezed. Then the rinds, means the skin of the oranges, are thrown out at the end of a long tube. At the same time, the juice goes through small holes in the bottom of the tube. Next, the juice goes into another machine called the finisher. There, the seeds and other tiny objects are removed. Last, the juice goes into large tanks where most of the water is removed. As you can see here, they are telling us the steps of making orange juice. They used some transitions such as first, next, then. All of these are time transitions. At the same time also is a time transitions, and last also is a time transition. These transitions are used to show you the steps in a process. Let's see what is the question here is that we have to number the events or the steps based on what we have read. So what happened first, what happens next, and what happens then, and what happens at the end. So the first thing that happens is that oranges are dumped into a moving belt. The second step, oranges are rolled into juicing machines. The third step, the rinds are thrown out. The fourth step, the juice goes through small holes into the bottom of the tube. Number 5, the juice goes into another machine called the finisher. And number 6, the juice goes into large tanks. Now, this was the first type of questions asked in chronological order. There is another kind of question asked also concerning this skill. Let's talk about it now. In this paragraph, as you can see, we have dates. Okay, it's not like the other one. Here we have dates: 1800s, over 800 years ago, 200 years ago, in 1904, and today. Let's read the paragraph and see. Soccer is a game that has been played for numerous years. In fact, many people believe that it began in England over 800 years ago. About 200 years ago, in the early 1800s, boys in England played a sport like soccer, but they called it football. However, each school made up their own rules. In 1863, here's also another date, a group of players met and wrote official rules for soccer. Soccer started spreading to other countries. In 1904, an international group called FIFA formed to make sure that every team around the world followed the same soccer rules. Today, soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. So as you can see, they use dates and they used also transitional words such as today means nowadays. Let's see. We have to fill in a flow chart with the events in the correct chronological. This is called a flow chart. So what happened in 1800s? Soccer began in England. What happened in 1863? The rules for soccer were written. In 1904, an international group called FIFA formed to make sure that every team around the world followed the same soccer rules. And today, in 2020, and today, which is the last event, means nowadays in 2020, soccer is one of the most popular sports around the world. So you might be asked this question in two ways, either to number the events or to write the events correctly in a flow chart. Now let's move to our reading lesson. First of all, let's read the essential question here. How do people meet personal challenges? Personal challenges are people's own challenges, the challenges that people face. Okay, read how a young woman overcame physical challenges, means something in her body, something physical, to become an Olympic athlete. Okay, let's read the story of Wilma Rudolph, who was suffering from a physical disability, and she became one of the Olympic athletes. Let's read the lesson together and then we'll continue. In a crowded Olympic stadium, the gun sounded and Wilma Rudolph took off like a bolt of lightning. As this amazing athlete ran confidently around the track, she nevertheless lost her cool, sprinting toward the finish line. Wilma used her peripheral vision to ensure that her competitors would not catch up. The crowd roared with elation as the fastest woman in the world finished more than 3 yards ahead of the other athletes. So, Wilma Rudolph was an athlete. She used to run, so she was to run in the Olympics, and she was the fastest woman in the world. She was very fast. Okay? Against all odds. Odds means difficulties and challenges. Though Wilma Rudolph inspired many during 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome, Italy, her childhood had been riddled with hardships, with difficulties. So her childhood was riddled means was full. It was full with difficulties. Wilma was one of 22 children born to an impoverished Tennessee family. While she was a toddler, her health deteriorated. Her health was becoming worse because of a life-threatening illnesses. So she had some life-threatening illnesses, or she had a certain illness. Okay. When she was 4 years old, Wilma contracted polio, a severe disease that causes paralysis. So when she was 4 years old, she had a disease called polio, and this disease might cause paralysis. As a result, Wilma lost the use of her left leg. Having polio could have been devastating for Wilma. Instead, she faced this physical challenge with a positive attitude and never lost sight of her goal. So even though she was suffering from devastating disease, from a severe disease, but she never lost hope, and she always just focused on her goal. Wilma's mother taught her very early to believe she could achieve any goal, and the first was to walk without leg braces. Once a week, she drove Wilma 90 miles round trip to Nashville for physical therapy. Her mother also instructed Wilma's siblings on how to massage their sister's legs. Done several times a day, this monotonous routine continued for several years. An inspiring comeback. Wilma's doctors had little hope that she would ever be able to walk again. When she was 9 years old, they decided to assess her progress. After the doctors removed the braces, they were amazed to see that Wilma could walk on her own. They were stunned by what this young girl could be despite having contracted an crippling disease for which there was no cure. From then on, Wilma never looked back. To compensate for the years she had been in braces, Wilma became extremely active. As proof of her determination, she ran every day. She decided never to give up, no matter what happened. Wilma's brothers set up a basketball hoop in the backyard, and she and her siblings played all day. Wilma became an avid basketball player at school too. A track coach named Ed Temple from Tennessee State University spotted Wilma at a basketball tournament and was extremely impressed by her athletic ability and potential. He invited her to attend a sports camp. Once again, Wilma's life changed dramatically, this time for the better. An Olympic champion. The minute Wilma ran on a track, she loved it. When she was just 16 years old, she qualified for the 1956 Summer Olympic Games in Melbourne, Australia. And Wilma came home wearing the bronze medal she had won in the relay race. After high school, Wilma was awarded a full scholarship to major in education at Tennessee State University. But once again, Wilma had to overcome challenges in 1958. Having put her shoulder to the wheel both in class and during track and field events, she became too ill to run. After she had a tonsillectomy, however, she felt better and started to run again. Unfortunately, Wilma pulled a muscle at a track meet in 1959, and Coach Temple had to implement a plan for her recovery. Wilma recovered just in time to qualify for the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome. In her individual sprints, Wilma outshone her competition and won 2 gold medals with ease. During the relay event, however, the team comprised of 4 athletes from Tennessee State found themselves in hot water. After a poor baton pass, Wilma had to pick up her pace and run like the wind to complete the last leg of the race. She successfully overtook Germany's last runner to win the race. Wilma became the first American woman in track and field to win 3 gold medals. Of her feeling of accomplishment, she said she knew it was something nobody could ever take away from me, ever. Giving back. The summit of Wilma's career might have been her achievements as an Olympic athlete. Instead, she went on to accomplish much more. After graduating from college, she taught school and coached track. Soon, Wilma was traveling the country, giving speeches to school audiences to inspire others to do their best in spite of the challenges. She would note that the triumph can be had without the struggle. Wilma achieved her dreams and ever after helped others to reach theirs. So this was Wilma Rodolph's story. As you can see, even though she suffered from a physical disability, but she overcame this challenge and became the first woman in America to win 3 gold medals. Even though you can see here in this table the statistics of her Olympics, the event and the time and what medals did she get and so on. So she was really an extraordinary woman. Okay. Now let's move to the genre of the text. As you can see, the text is telling us the story of a certain woman, of a certain athlete. So the genre of this text is a biography, in which the biography focuses on a certain time or period or important aspect in someone's life, and this include text features that provide specific details. So the biography of Wilma Rodolph focuses on the way she dealt with the difficult challenges she faced. We have many features, such as the photos that they showed us, such as the tables that they even showed the dates. The dates are specifically very important because they show us every event and the time that the event took place. So, as we said, this is a biography. A biography, as we said, tells someone's story, and it uses real places, photos, dates, and so on.